Well, we've told you on this show a couple of times about declining standards at the FAA, part of the wider war on standards that is gripping the whole country and against which we will be fighting starting this week. In the name of diversity, the FAA has added an irrelevant biographical section to its hiring process for air traffic controllers. Congress could intervene and require that hiring be dictated solely by actual qualifications for air traffic control. We hope that happens. So does Congressman Frank Lobiondo. He represents New Jersey. He chairs the House Subcommittee on Aviation, and he joins us now. Congressman, thanks a lot for coming on. Mr. Chairman.
Thanks for having me on.
So we got, which you already know, the data that show that the FAA intentionally seeks out unqualified air traffic controllers, and it's horrifying. What we haven't been able to figure out is who's responsible for this.
So first, thank you for raising this again. It was your network who first raised it a couple years ago and gave us an ability to get some traction, but unfortunately it got left in the dust.
Yeah, we're not going to stop because it's too important.
So we were blindsided. Under the Obama administration and the FAA administrator at the time, Michael Wirtza, normally they come to Congress and say, hey, we're going to change the procedures. In this particular case, air traffic control qualifies. How do we do it? What are we going to do? Nothing. Just did it, blindsided us. When we started asking questions, why did you do it? Did you check this biographical out to make sure it was going to work? Nothing, silence. So we've been fighting this now for a couple of years without getting any answers, any explanation as to why, with a total blindside. We had the Department of Transportation Inspector General involved. We have the Government Accounting Office involved. And you had a very able guest on, Michael Pearson, who's done a great job. But because of the lawsuit, both of those agencies sort of shut down. So what was the most egregious part of this, we've already attempted and addressed, and that is that the CTI students, and that's how this first came to me.
Right. CTI students are kids who've gone to school directly, intentionally become air traffic controllers.
They have the aptitude, and they've paid tens of thousands of dollars to do this. It's amazing, and they had the rug pulled out from under them, totally qualified, ready to go into the training program, and told, sorry.
But so what I don't understand is there anybody who will come out and say, yes, the FAA should seek out people who are unemployed for 3 years and bad at science to become air traffic controllers? Will anybody actually defend that?
No, I doubt it.
So why shouldn't Congress pass, in its authorization for funding for the FAA, a rule that says you cannot use irrelevant criteria for hiring air traffic controllers? It's too important. You're not allowed to do that. Can we do that?
Well, if I were writing the bill and were able to do it without the consent of the Senate and just do it through our committee, we would do it.
Who are the members of Congress who would get in the way of that? Who would say, well, you know what, we need to hire more unemployed people who are bad at science?
Well, they won't put it that way. They won't put it that way. But you know the way it works. The House passes a bill, the Senate passes a bill, it has to go to conference, and then, you know, the senators get involved and the thing gets mucked up. But what is important to know from what you're reporting?
Do you think that they understand that lives are at stake? I mean, these are air traffic controllers.
I don't think they pay enough attention to it. But what we were able to correct, which I think is important to point out, is that the CTI students, and maybe most egregiously military, former military, especially military air traffic controllers, are now into the mix again.
No, it's good, but if there's a single person who's unqualified and hired for this job, again, this is not to become a gym teacher.
No, it's not.
These are air traffic controllers.
It is, but this is what's important to also know. If one of these people who really maybe doesn't belong there gets through the initial process, they have to go through the academy, and they're washed out because the academy will put up with no nonsense.
I don't believe that for a second.
Well,
because the directive is, look, there are things that are more important than ability. And everybody in the bureaucracy knows you're graded on irrelevant criteria, like your commitment to diversity. And so, like, you're going to have bad people get through. Of course.
It's wrong.
It's totally wrong.
It's totally wrong.
Congressman, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
It's just so nuts. It's hard to believe it's real.
Please keep on it.
It is. Oh, we're going to keep on it.
Okay.